So there's a bit of a follow-up to the Laurence Fox story, which you may recall from earlier this year, regarding the actor Laurence Fox and his appearance on Question Time. This is from yesterday's Times newspaper. I'll just show you the article rather than reading it all out. So you see, Actors Union apologises to Fox over disgrace tweets. Um, I'll just read out the first few paragraphs. Equity, this is the Actors Union Equity, has apologised to Laurence Fox and agreed an out of court settlement with the actor after members described him as a disgrace over comments he made on the BBC's Question Time. The Actors Union said yesterday that it did not intend to suggest that the actor should be denied the ability to work over comments he made on the programme in January during a debate about Meghan Markle. So the subject of racism came up in that debate and whether or not she left the UK because of racism. Fox denied that. He was one of the panel members. Um, and Fox said, it's so easy to throw the charge of racism, and it's really starting to get boring now. He added, it's not racism. We're the most tolerant, lovely country in Europe. When described by an audience member as a white privileged male, he claimed that comment itself was racist. I agree with that. I believe it is a racist statement, and I'll explain why in a second. His appearance provoked a fractious debate with many condemning his comments while many others defended his right to make them. Now, in the immediate aftermath of this, there were two members of Equity. One of them was Daniel Locke, Loh, and Daniel York Loh. And he's kind of now formed this breakaway group because they were kind of acting of their own accord. Um, and Christine Payne, the union's general secretary, said that the committee members had inadvertently broken rules by issuing statements as if they were speaking for Equity as a whole. Yesterday, Equity said, we are sorry that in the tweets it was called a disgrace by Equity. It was a mistake for Equity as an organisation criticise him in this way. Nothing in Equity's later statement was intended as to stir on his character or views or to suggest that he should be denied the ability to work. The problem is these guys took it on themselves. One of them was Daniel York Loh, who's a Manchester-based actor. I believe he's of British Chinese descent. He's now formed this subcommittee group, which has been renamed the Race Equality Committee, so called, has responded to this decision with deep regret. And its chairman, Daniel York Loh, said that the apology was not in my name, adding Equity and Laurence Fox can issue as many joint statements and apologies as they like. It's nothing to do with me, and I apologise for nothing. Well, Daniel York Loh, I would say you're the real racist here, because what you're basically saying, I mean, I'm kind of disgusted by his attitude actually, because for him to now play the victim and suggest that Equity is throwing minority actors under the bus, which he has done, um, for no other reason than the fact that they're not going to endorse this sort of attempt to blacklist Laurence Fox. That's all it comes down to. If you actually looked at the debate, all Fox is doing was saying that the notion of attacking him for the colour of his skin is in itself a bigoted statement, which it is. I mean, white men are the only group that you can attack to their face, and that's okay. Um, and I'm disgusted that the likes of the Guardian and other left-wing outlets, and this is not universal, but their response was to actually get into vilifying Laurence Fox, trying to paint him as some sort of far right white supremacist type. He's nothing of the sort. Um, he did make some statements afterwards that maybe didn't help entirely. I mean, his statement on the film 1917 about the Sikh officer was actually wrong because there were Sikh officers on the Western Front, but he immediately acknowledged that and he apologised. The real issue here, what it comes down to, is the likes of Daniel York Loh want white actors to basically virtue signal. They want them to, or if not virtue signal, they want them to bow their heads and apologise for being white. I mean, what other reason can one surmise when they are trying to get a fellow actor blacklisted? That's cowardly. I think it's disgusting. It's a bit like the Hollywood of the 1950s, when actors who had left-wing sympathies were on a blacklist because they were suspected communists. And in many cases, they were nothing of the sort. Some cases they may have been, but the point is, it was an atmosphere of intolerance. And that's what this so called equality subcommittee is actually pushing for. They're saying, unless you agree with us, then you're not welcome. And we're going to try and destroy your career as an actor. I think the term white privilege is extremely problematic because it lumps all white people as one and the same. It insinuates all white people are in a situation where they're getting something for nothing, because that's what privilege denotes. And I must be honest, it really makes me angry. Yeah, I'm a white man, so I don't like the collective shaming, but it makes me angry for more generally, it just causes unnecessary divisions. And for Daniel York Loh to play the victim is utterly pathetic. I checked out his page. He's changed the settings so only his fans can comment, but he's complaining about getting hate mail from racists. But Laurence Fox has received death threats over this debate. I mean, that's disgusting. The fact that all he has done is refuse to apologize for being a white man and say that the racism issue isn't as it's described. Now, you can agree or disagree with that. I don't absolutely agree with everything Lauren Fox is saying, but what I do agree with is attacking someone for the color of their skin, which is fundamentally what the white privilege charge is about, is it's wrong. I am pleased that Equity's taken the common sense decision and realised that you cannot punish actors simply for holding opinions. Lauren Fox hasn't said anything racist. He's denounced what he sees as virtue signalling and what he sees as diversity for the sake of it. But as far as I can see, he's never made any sort of white supremacist statements. He's never said that minority actors shouldn't have equal rights. All he has done is refused to apologize for what many actors in the world today do. They virtue signal and they jump on the identity politics bandwagon. Because Fox has refused to do that, he's been targeted by these woke bullies. Um, so I am pleased that the right decision's made, but I also find it sad that there are people who also support Daniel York Loh's school of thought, that they actually think. I've seen some feedback on the Equity website saying you pander to racists. If they're referring to Laurence Fox, I challenge them to point out a single thing he has said that can reasonably be considered racist. I mean, his statement about 1917, the film, was factually wrong, but he actually said he had nothing against the actor playing the role. He was just, in his opinion, he felt it was virtue signalling. But he recognised he was wrong about that because there was Sikh soldiers on the Western Front. Although, from a factual point of view, they were in their own regiments as opposed to being mixed in as the film depicted. But the point is, he immediately apologised. He realised that he got that wrong. He apologised for it. He didn't apologise over his statements on Question Time, and why the hell should he? Anyone that looked at that segment, I mean, I think there's a disconnect here between what most people think and what the liberal establishment thinks, because most people saw that as absolutely, he said nothing wrong. He wasn't advocating white supremacy. He wasn't saying minority actors shouldn't be given opportunities. What he was saying is, I am not going to apologize for being a white man. And if you're attacking me for that, then that's the racism. Um, I mean, you cannot imagine that with any other person. You know, you cannot see a situation where a black woman is attacked for being a black woman. You cannot see a situation where a Chinese man is attacked for being a Chinese man. This is uniquely leveled at white men. It is. And if you genuinely believe that all white people are privileged, I would make this point. Laurence Fox does come from quite a well off family, but there are many people, white people, who don't. You know, in my city, there are rough sleepers. They're all white. In other cities, it might be different demographics, but the point is, you cannot have this collective sort of all white people are privileged. That's inflammatory, but more to the point, it's just factually wrong. That's why this so-called equality committee, I don't see them as an equality committee. I see them as a race baiting committee, and I have zero respect for them. Um, I hope they get ignored. I hope they are, because it's all they deserve. What they're basically saying is, you owe us something, okay? They've shown their true colours, led by Daniel York, though, by trying to blacklist a fellow actor. He's not even talking about, oh, minority actors need more opportunities. This man has actively tried to blacklist a fellow actor, and it's disgusting, actually. He has no right to play the victim when Mr. Fox has been receiving death threats. So, he's also said that he suffered temporary insomnia over this. I mean, all Laurence Fox has done is not pander to the sort of conventional thing we see so often nowadays with actors, which is the virtue signal and to endorse identity politics. He wasn't getting on that stage and saying, I'm a white man. He was forced into that by that stupid academic, or rather by that race baiting academic. I don't think these people are stupid. I think they know what they're doing. So I take that back, not stupid, race baiting. She was some academic from Liverpool, and she said, well, you would say that you're a white privileged man. Now, there was audible gasps in the audience, so clearly there are a lot of people that don't share this woke mentality, and yet these woke bullies think that they're the victims because they are trying to they present everything as being, well, we're a minority, so it's impossible for us to be racist. It's impossible for us to be bullied. But that's exactly what they've been trying to do with the disgusting way they've treated Lawrence Fox. Okay, like I say, I probably wouldn't agree with that, absolutely everything he's saying, but I have not seen him make a single sort of statement that can, in any rational way, be considered white supremacist or neo-Nazi. And if he had, I wouldn't be supporting him. Um, as I see this, common sense has prevailed, but this should never have happened in the first place. Equity should immediately have denounced those statements. They've done the right thing, but this is not throwing minority members under the bus. This is saying you can't just make these sweeping statements in our name without clearance, and act as if, because the problem is Daniel York Loh and the other guy whose name I forget, it's not mentioned in the report, but they were talking as if they were speaking for equity, and they weren't. So that's deceptive. They should have said, this is our opinion. But it does make me angry because this ordeal that Lawrence Fox has went through, and it is because he has been vilified by the likes of the Guardian. You know, the Guardian even had this pathetic article claiming he was pandering to the far right. If the far right endorses his views, that's beyond his control. All he has done, what we fundamentally come down to here, is a white man has said, "I'm not going to apologise for being a white man." That's what it comes down to, and I'm kind of disgusted by Daniel York Loh's behaviour. I have to say, I've never heard of the guy, never seen him in anything, so maybe he's bitter. Maybe it's a jealousy thing. Because Lawrence Fox has been a relatively successful actor. You know, he was on primetime TV, ITV. He said the BBC would never hire him with his views, but there has to be diversity of opinion. You know, we talk about diversity in society, there has to be diversity of opinion. If these people disagreed with Lawrence Fox, they could have debated him. They could have said, "We think you're wrong about that." But the point is, they tried to blacklist him. They tried to destroy his livelihood. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, they can just go and go back to the dark corner from where their ideology comes from, because it's just it's very ugly. I really, really have no respect for it. I'm just looking over this. So, you know, York Loh has resigned over this. Good. I would say equity could do with fewer race baiters like him. I mean, I would suggest he probably has issues with all white people. It sounds like he does. And the thing is, white actors, you know, basically have a choice. They can either pander to this mentality and they can go around bowing their head in apologies like Oscars so white stuff, or they can stand up for themselves. And if they stand up for themselves and they say, "Well, I'm not going to apologize for being white," then they'll go through what Lawrence Foxes went through. And it's not that I see him as particularly a martyr, but he just said what had to be said. And I hope he said that within the profession, there is kind of a group think, I think, in acting circles. Equity needs to be promoting diversity of opinion. They have a big thing on their Facebook page saying that they promote the idea of not tolerating harassment and no one should feel unsafe. But surely that should apply to everyone. Someone shouldn't be feeling harassed or hounded or that they won't be getting roles simply for the opinions that they've held that are not talking about supremacy. I could understand if Lawrence Fox had come out with genuinely racist statements, then I wouldn't have much sympathy with him. But this is the sick irony about all of this. He hasn't said anything. That it's just such a sick situation that if a white person refuses to apologize for being white, that is seen as racist. If they attack political correctness, that's racist. People like Daniel York Loh, they judge everything that isn't aligning with their point of view as racist. I think he's an extremist, and I think that equity could do without someone like him. But he is going to go around and try and do the same thing to any white actor that doesn't agree with him. He's a bully, and I am pleased that common sense has prevailed, but I'm also angry that it came to that it took that sort of situation in order to draw attention to the way that identity politics is going. Um, where there are issues that minority actors feel they're not getting roles, or there is issues to deal with, okay, bring up those issues. But what you cannot do is shame someone and bully someone and try to get someone blacklisted for the color of their skin. And that is fundamentally what they're trying to do. So I'm pleased they've lost, but I'm also angry that it came to this. And, I am also aware that this mentality isn't going to go away. There are still, unfortunately, a lot of people out there that now have it in their heads that Lauren Fox is a racist, even though he's not. Even though he has said nothing that can reasonably be considered race, racist in nature. Politically incorrect, maybe, but so that's why I'm not overly triumphalist about this because it's not the last we're going to hear about something like this. The likes of Daniel York Loh are going to go out of the way to try and vilify other people that disagree with them, and it's disgusting. Actually, I would leave some thoughts on his page about what I think of his behaviour, but then he would smear me as a racist. People that go around doing that, I have zero respect for them. I think it's a very weak thing to do to hide behind your ethnicity to say I'm being picked on. Um, I just think it's a very, very weak approach. I noticed on his page he had a lot of stuff about the coronavirus and the racist attacks. Now that is a clear-cut example of racism. However, if him and his supporters are saying, "Oh, well, this shows Britain's a racist country," that's an ignorant statement. Where there have been incidents that's ugly, I think they should be dealt with harshly. But you can't just say, "Oh, well, therefore Britain's a racist country," because a few idiots have done stupid things. Human ignorance, eh? What can you do with it?